Hello there. Oh my God. New settings. Good Lord. Thank you, Dominic. I appreciate it. I've been over here flapping my gums and nothing's come out. I apologize. God, thank you, Dominic. Guys, go check out Dom Sunbelt Syndicate. All the stuff I was talking about. I had so much good info right there in that middle part. I was talking about Podbean. I'm on Podbean Live, right? Podbean is the source that I use to push out my podcast over everything. Okay. And what I would like to try to do is if somebody gets on there and finds my podcast on Podbean, you can actually call in. I would love to have a call in. Yeah, I appreciate Don. It was a setting in StreamYard. I missed it. I kind of moved my room around, so I had to unplug everything yesterday, move it around. But no, you're good, brother. I appreciate the heads up. Thank you so much. But guys, follow the socials down here, right? Follow the socials. You missed the intro. I hope you're having a good Friday night. I've got some bourbon. We're going to talk about some good football. My additional monitor over here, I've got a high school game on back in Oklahoma. Watching that, the school that I used to do play-by-play for, and my father is actually officiating the game, so trying to keep an eye on that. And also, I've got the Boston College Louisville game up. But again, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget tomorrow morning at 8:00, the College Football Dogs, the Dogs TV Network has a game day show that Taylor Aarons and myself. She's the host. I'm the co-host. We're going to talk to a litany of writers covering about 8 different games. We're going to go over the Maxwell Award Player of the Week for the Maxwell and the Bednarik. We're also going to do our best bets. Jeremy Orth does a great job. If you're looking to make a little extra money, follow Dog's Best Bets, okay? You can find that all over social. Always a great show. Thank you. I appreciate that, Dom. Dom always does a good job. I'm excited. I saw the message you put in the Discord talking about you don't know what the cell reception is going to be there in Boone, North Carolina. For those that don't know, Dominic does a great job with him and his co-host on the Sunbelt Syndicate. Anything you want to know about Sunbelt football, that's what you need to go to. They've got players on, great insight. It's a fantastic show, great graphics, so you need to pay attention to them. But it's been an interesting week. There's been a lot of football on. We got a couple games tonight. Like I said, Louisville-Boston is playing right now. Boston College is up 7-0 in that game. Boise State UNLV, that's tonight, that go-go offense. And Ashton Genty, who a lot of people have as their number one in the Heisman Trophy race, they'll square off at 9:30. Then at 10:00, Rutgers and USC. Whew. Man, is Lincoln Riley in trouble? And I'm not saying that as just a bitter Oklahoma fan. I'm asking a serious question. If Lincoln Riley loses, he goes to 3-5. Ooh. Seat's going to get real hot. Tuesday, the week started off. Sam Houston knocked off Florida International 10-7. Louisiana Tech beat the Miners of UTEP 14-10. Kennesaw State got their first victory. So for those of you who were concerned about Liberty making it to the playoffs, you ain't got to worry no more. Kennesaw State took care of that. Their first ever FBS victory. 27-24 over the Liberty Flames. JSU Rich Rod and the Gamecocks took down Middle Tennessee 42-20. Last night, Old Dominion, Georgia Southern, Old Dominion hammered them 47-19. And just think, that Georgia Southern team, right? That Georgia Southern team, they're pretty good. They're always a tough one out there. But and then Pittsburgh-Syracuse last night. Good Lord. Pittsburgh and Syracuse. Syracuse Kyle McCord did his best Oklahoma impersonation last night. 5 interceptions, 3 pick sixes. It was crazy. He's got an $88 million buyout. I don't think he's going anywhere. Even LA doesn't have that. That's a strong buyout. I didn't know what the number was, but that's a strong buyout. I know our fearless leader is a huge USC fan, but they lose to Rutgers tonight. It's not going to be good. Not going to be good for them. But a full slate of games tomorrow. Some games I'm not going to talk about. Ohio State, Nebraska. I think Ohio State is just far better than Nebraska. Dylan Raiola, I don't think he's really lived up to the but he's a freshman, right? He's a freshman. Going to be a very entertaining game still. Washington and Indiana. We're going to talk about this game tomorrow on the Game Day show. Hype man Harry, what's up? You're in Memphis, Harry. Did you go see Tyler and Teddy and them at Rendezvous Barbecue? My boys covering the Oklahoma game as Oklahoma takes on Ole Miss down at the Grove this weekend. The legendary Harry James Taylor. He's been on Feinbaum. He's been on ESPN shows. He is an absolute legend, good friend. Miss seeing this guy around the Oklahoma stuff, but from the home of music king, Elvis in Memphis. I hope you have a safe trip, buddy. If you see Lumber Lady and Splinter and all those people, tell them I said what's up. I wish I was going to be there. This is a game that I was going to try to get to go to, but missed out on it. I might still try to go to LSU. Could be a very entertaining game, see how that progresses on. But, talking about Washington and Indiana, and some people are like, well, Washington not playing they're a team that was in the national championship, not playing very well. Will Rogers, okay, not going to blow your socks off. But the interesting thing is now is that Rourke is going to be out, right? Curtis Rourke. Now, I say that. It says doubtful. He had surgery on his injured thumb on Monday. But had to see the Ducks. All right, had to see the Ducks. Hey, you got to see the Ducks out there. But Curtis Rourke out. I'm really intrigued. Because now for Indiana, right? The guy who's come in and has played so well, Taven Jackson. Now, Jackson on the year's 12-18, 225 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. A little bit more mobile, I think, than Rourke. Can run a little bit, so a little bit of extra there to worry about with him. But it's not the guy that's got you to 7-0. I'd hate to see an injury, something like that, like an injured thumb, take down a great year, because College Game Day is going to be there. They're in Bloomington. Now, I also think this is a kind of like a nod to Lee Corso. Last weekend, Lee Corso sounded really bad. It was kind of hard to watch. And I love Lee Corso. I've loved Game Day forever, but it's getting to the point that maybe he shouldn't be on TV anymore. Speaking of big buyouts, BV is a good-sized buyout, but also he's done what he came to do. Defense looks much better. Harry, you're right. Defense looks a lot better at Oklahoma. It's still not where I think he'd like it to be. It's still not where the Sooner faithful would like it to be. But the offense, man, that's why this hire in the offseason is going to be so huge, right? This is very huge moving into the SEC because, and I love Brent. I got to talk to Brent when Brent was there before, when he went to Clemson, when I was out there covering the Sooners. And, I love Brent Venables. I'm hoping it all works out for him. But when you start to look now, and this is year 3, 2 to 3 years have not been good years. They've not been good years. So you hope he gets them back. There's a lot of news. I talk a lot about Oklahoma, but it's been a tough year. We'll talk a little bit about that later. First game I want to talk about, the Illini, the Fighting Illini travel up to see the number 1 Oregon Ducks, right? Oregon, I think they're playing. I had them winning the Big Ten at the beginning of the season. I really like what I've seen from them. I think Dylan Gabriel is a fantastic quarterback. Everybody, he was at Oklahoma. He's going to go down statistically as one of the best quarterbacks ever just because of the length of time that he's played, right? But he's also been a very serviceable quarterback. It's not like he's been very bad at all. But Oregon is hosting the Illini. Dylan Gabriel's thrown for over 2,000 yards. I think their running back, Jordan James, is a damn good running back, has over 700 yards rushing, and it's going to be tough. Now, I don't just want to poo-poo the Illini, but this game, it's a big spread. I think it's like 21 points. I like Oregon to cover. Again, the Illini, you can't say they haven't been to big places to play, right? They've been to Michigan, they've been to Ohio State, they've been to Penn State, and of course they lost to Penn State. And I'm still not buying Penn State. I don't know where you guys stand, but I'm not buying Penn State. I don't think when it comes down to, as they used to say, nut cutting time, I don't think they have what it takes. I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll full on admit it. But Luke Altmaier has played really well for the Illini. 1,500 yards passing, only one interception, 15 touchdowns, and I believe that interception came in the Penn State game. Just kind of a gritty, solid football team, right? You don't have a lot of flash. Don't have a lot of flash, but they can put up points. In Autzen, I like Oregon. I like Oregon to cover this game, pretty easily. What's up, Matt? How you doing? Kentucky versus Auburn. Do you think it'll be a low-scoring game? Matt, that's a great question because Auburn is a statistical anomaly. Somebody, and I can't remember who it was, they put out a tweet with a stat that said there's only 8 teams in all of college football, I think, that average over 7 yards a play. And it was something crazy. But like every other team on there, right? Every team on there had great records, and they're all ranked. The only one that wasn't on there is Auburn. So it's very strange because, again, statistically, when you read it, it melts your mind almost. And I'm here in Birmingham. I talk to a lot of Auburn people. My sister's a huge Auburn fan. My brother-in-law, they're huge Auburn fans. I talk to a lot of them, and they're very frustrated. This is a must-win game for Kentucky. Matt, I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. And let me ask you this, and I turn this on you. If you're a Kentucky fan, how do you feel about Mark Stoops making over $9 million? He's making championship pay, but not being held accountable for championship results. I mean, I know you're saying stay bowl eligible, but if you're paying a coach $9 million, and I know you're in the SEC, but if you're paying a coach $9 million, but you got to start playing for some championships. You got to start playing for some championships. Kentucky should be a 9 or 10 game. I agree, especially with how well they can play on defense. You get Brock Vandagriff in. This game will be very interesting. It's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde. What teams are going to show up? All right. I mean, like Auburn last weekend against Missouri, they got up, had the muff punt, they scored. So it wasn't like they were setting the world on fire. I still think they don't use Jarquez Hunter enough. I really like Jarquez Hunter. I think he's one of the best backs in the country. Probably one of those that's going to have a better NFL career than he did in college just because of a system. But I agree, Kentucky should be a 10-win team. South Carolina, like what happened at South Carolina? But then you see how well they played against Georgia. Defensively look good. Ole Miss, they go into Oxford. So that gives me a little hope as an Oklahoma fan, right? That gives me a little hope. Now, not saying that Oklahoma has the kind of offense that Kentucky does, but you go into Oxford and you win. So it's a big win. Florida, who I don't know if they're starting to figure it out. And I know Kentucky is trying to erase, because I believe that was once the most lopsided rivalry game in college football, Florida and Kentucky. But I mean, you look at the remaining games for Kentucky. You got Auburn there in the Commonwealth. You go to Knoxville to Tennessee, Murray State. You should beat the Racers. Texas is Texas. You got to go to Texas. And then Louisville, who's not a bad football team. But, man, Kentucky hasn't had very much success against Auburn in their own field in some time. I think it's been over 50 years. Whew. Man. That's crazy. That's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, you go back to, like, Mike Leach, Hal Mumme, Jared Lorenzen, I love the Battleship Lorenzen, the round mound of touchdown, the hefty lefty. Love that. Getting into it. But it's in Kentucky. I would think Kentucky wins. The spread on that game is Kentucky by 1.5, so it's pretty much a pick 'em, right? Pretty much a pick 'em. But I got to give the advantage to the team at home. HJT says, speaking of TV game day, what's your thoughts on this Pat McAfee to be the new face of TV? I think trying to bring in that younger crowd, I think he does a great job. It's funny to watch his interactions with Nick Saban because Nick Saban's very stoic at the time. And Pat McAfee is such a live wire, right? He's such a live wire. But it's fun. I built Brock Vandagriff up like nobody else did. I was expecting, yeah. Hey, I'm right with you, Matt. I'm right with you because everything you heard about Brock Vandagriff coming in, of course, looking at Georgia, he was a highly recruited kid. I think Oklahoma wanted him really bad, but he ended up at Georgia. And I'm drinking some of that Kentucky Gold, Matt, just so you know, a little bit of that Kentucky Gold right there. But yeah, it's if I'm picking the game, Matt, I'm taking Kentucky to beat Auburn. Again, it's just very weird because Auburn statistically is so good across so many different levels, statistically. But when it comes down to it, they're just not a good football team. They can't get out of their own way. Give you a quick update of the World Series. Dodgers, Yankees. Bottom of the first, scoreless. That'll be interesting. I'm going to watch the it's not a 30 for 30. It's on Netflix. But the comeback story of the Red Sox when they were down 3-0 to the Yankees, Kevin Millar, Noma, Varitek, Big Poppy, all those guys. So I guess it says a lot when you're the third string quarterback on the Georgia team. Look who all they had there, Matt. Look who all they had there. I mean, you had Carson Beck, who I think is playing his way out of some money, honestly, if you ask me. Playing his way out of some money. Now, I know you're going to have Senior Bowl and all that, whatever. I just think he's playing himself out of some money. But next game I want to talk about, just because it's an interesting matchup. This, at the beginning of the year, Kansas State, the Sunflower Showdown. Everybody thought this game was going to be way bigger than what it is right now. Now, Kansas State is ranked 16th. Kansas State has looked really good, except in one game. Kansas State has looked good in every game except when they played BYU. BYU's got a tough one at Central Florida. But Kansas State, it's at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, Manhattan, Kansas. The Little Apple, Emaw, they're going to be going crazy. Avery Johnson, Giddens. You look at Kansas and coming into this year, everybody was so excited about Jalen Daniels, about Devin Neal. It hasn't happened. They're 2-5. Kansas State sitting there at 3-1 in the conference. 6-1 overall, that one loss. If you look at the Big 12 right now, they're sitting behind Iowa State and BYU. Now, the crazy thing is, Kansas State, if they can keep on winning, and if Iowa State keeps on winning, Iowa State doesn't play BYU. But at the end of the year, Kansas State and Iowa meet up. And that game could be very intriguing because I think whoever would win that game will get the spot in the Big 12 championship. And we'll see how BYU does the rest of the year. But if BYU stays undefeated, that's who they play. Kalani Sitake, man, good for you, sir. You're 5-7 last year. 5-7. But in this game, I think Avery Johnson and the Wildcats are just going to be way too much. All right. I think they're just way too much for the Jayhawks. And I hate it because it had been a really good story. Now, it is a rivalry game, and you can say everything, it changes in a rivalry game. But Kansas and Kansas State, I don't think it's close. And I know we got guys that cover both sides. We're going to have Nick Friesen on tomorrow on the Game Day Show. Big Kansas State fan, covers the Kansas State Wildcats, does a great job. Alex Blackburn, who covers the Jayhawks, he's going to be working tomorrow, so he won't be able to come on, but still going to be a lot of fun. This game, again, it's a rivalry. You never know what's going to happen in a rivalry, right? Never know. Don't forget, I am on Podbean Live. So if you go on to podbean.com, you look for it on your phone, whatever, and you look for the Sports Bites podcast, you can call in. You can call in. And I'd love to have some call-ins. Talk a little bit of football. Kind of like the old radio show back in the day. Looking at this game to my left, Boston College trying to go up 10-0 now on Louisville. Interesting. I appreciate that, Matt. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. It's a passion of mine. I try to bring the best product forward that I can. Really trying to get back into it. I loved being on the radio. I love talking with callers. That's why I love this interaction here. I love when you guys message in, you have questions, and we're trying to make this thing grow, right? We're trying to make it grow and just have legitimate football conversations, right? Just talk ball. Like you're at a barbecue, like you're in a barber shop, just talking ball. It doesn't have to be so serious. There's so many keyboard tough guys that want to, say some of the most outlandish things. All I do is talk football, man. We may not agree all the time, but I can respect your opinion, right? Always. I had a little alarm go off. Still got a little bit of a cough. Not all the way gone yet. But next game I want to talk about, again, living here in Birmingham, there's a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Missouri in Tuscaloosa taking on the Crimson Tide. Now, people here in Alabama are not happy. They want Kalen DeBoer gone already. And it's something we talked about at the beginning of the year is, was he going to have any kind of grace period? Nick lost, I think he lost 5 games his first year at Alabama. And of course, everyone knows about the loss to ULM. I think the consensus was that he wasn't going to have that grace period because of the type of talent that you had coming in and coming back compared to what Nick Saban had when he first took over. So in this game right here, you're in Tuscaloosa, you're trying to salvage because, again, and I don't like playing the if I coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? But they should have lost to South Carolina. Should have. But this game, man, it's going to be really interesting because I don't know if Brady Cook's going to play. And if Brady Cook isn't playing, Drew Pine. That's who you got to go with. Drew Pine. And he's played a lot of football, Notre Dame, Arizona State. I don't think he's as good as Brady Cook. So that leaves me to believe that in this game, Vandy Chris, buddy, I feel the same, man. I agree with you 100%. In my picks, I took Alabama given the points. And it's just sad because I hate when injuries impact the game. And I know it's part of football. But Brady Cook, what's so interesting about that story is leaving the game, going to the hospital, coming back, and I guess this ankle has progressively gotten worse. And I don't know if Drew Pine has it in him. And I think Alabama is looking to make a statement. We've already seen Missouri with some healthy players at College Station get run out of the stadium. I mean, they got run out of College Station. It may happen at Bryant-Denny this weekend. The game, what was the spread? I think it's 15.5. I'd take Alabama giving the 15.5 all day. All day. Now, the interesting thing is watching Milroe struggle a little bit. Now, I think he's become too reliant on Ryan Williams. While Ryan Williams is a phenomenal athlete, he is a great wide receiver. Yeah, it's 17-3. Now, in one of those, again, you can say kind of a fluky touchdown on the punt that was muffed and ended up in the end zone. But yeah, with Drew Pine, it wasn't like this offense, and that's what Missouri was hanging their hat on all year. Was Brady Cook, was Noel, was Theo Weiss, Luther Burden in this offense. Now, Caden Green, who Oklahoma fans know, everyone mad about that guy because he left for the money back home in Missouri. He's from Missouri. I get it. He's been benched. Hasn't played very well. So again, it's this game where I've seen the lack of discipline is in the penalties for Alabama. I think last year Alabama was only averaging 40, if I read correctly, 42 yards a game in penalties. They are now close to 83 yards a game in penalties, more than double. And you've seen, and Chris, I know everything you deal with, the Malachi Moore stuff. There's certain things that as a coach, you have to handle different, or else you're just going to continue to let stuff slide. And people are going to see it, and they're going to see how far they can push you. Now, I thought it was crazy here in the state of Alabama. Everybody was more concerned about what Kalen DeBoer was wearing, talking about his nipples and all this stuff. I don't care what the coaches are wearing. It's a stressful situation. They're not going to be like Bear Bryant in a suit. They're not going to be, in a shirt and tie or anything. Be comfortable. As long as you're not in a uniform. I laugh at, baseball managers because they're always in uniforms and just like, come on, bro. Come on. Speaking of baseball, Vandy, I know you're excited. College baseball season starts soon. And I don't know if you've seen, I know now with Oklahoma being in the SEC, 4 of the last 5 national champions in college baseball play in Norman this year. Whoo! That's rough. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, you're all coming to Norman. That's huge. I hope Oklahoma's ready. Now, a game that I'm very intrigued in. Very intrigued. Damon Harris said, if someone did that mess that Moore did, I saw that. Now, again, I don't really care about the fingernail thing. Again, he's come out and said he supports his little sister. I don't know if she actually has a bit. I mean, I get what you're saying. It's orange. That's what Tennessee is. I'm not so hung up on the nail painting thing. I'm not. But the way the players are acting, like Damian Harris said, right. I agree with that 100%. They would have been all over him. 100% they'd have been all over him. A game that I'm very intrigued in, because of my service. I am a Navy veteran, the midshipman in Notre Dame. I don't know the last time that there's been that much focus on this game. Notre Dame has been superiorly better than Navy for a while, but Navy this year is Blake Horvath. This is a different Navy team. And I spoke with UAB head coach Trent Dilfer before they played Navy and kind of talked to him about the difference between, what they're doing now. They still base everything out of the triple option, that veer. But now, and if you go back and watch those highlights, Navy scoring on deep passes, Navy scoring on tunnel screens, and Blake Horvath is shifty. He's fast. He's elusive. Throws a good deep ball. And, I mean, I hope, I'm just going to say this, I think Notre Dame loses to one of the service academies this year. Whether it's Army or Navy, I think they lose to one of the service academies. I'd love to see it. Now, this one's at MetLife Stadium. It's not in Annapolis or anything like that. But I'm so intrigued about this game. Now it's at 11 o'clock. It's the same time as the Oklahoma Ole Miss game. So I will have my YouTube TV and have everything going at one time. You know, have the 4 different games. So that way I can watch it, which means I'll probably have Oklahoma Ole Miss, Notre Dame Navy, Nebraska Ohio State, all in that, multi-view, so I can watch it. I think Navy can beat Notre Dame. Riley Leonard, I mean, he's a fighter. He's gritty. He's tough. All the superlatives that you want to say. But again, with what Navy has, and it just, I hope they beat them. I hope they beat them. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think they're going to be competitive, and that offense will just wear you out. But here's the thing now. Now they can take advantage of you when you're wore out. They can pop on you deep. You got receivers that can beat you and be shift. It's a different Navy team. I like Navy to win this game. I like them to win it. I'm not sold on Notre Dame. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Go midshipman. That's right. Go middies, baby. Go middies. And this is not a knock on Northern Illinois, but if Northern Illinois could go to South Bend and beat Notre Dame, from what I've seen from Navy, and like I said, when I talked to Trent Dilfer and I asked him about Horvath, he said Horvath is like trying to prepare for Lamar Jackson. He said Bailey from Army is trying to prepare for Cam Newton because he goes hunting contact. If Navy beats the Irish, does Horvath book his trip to the Heisman? That's a great question. That is a great question. You look at the remaining of their schedule. Notre Dame, you got at Rice, should be an easy victory. South Florida, you never really know what you're going to get with Golish and his team. But I think Navy's a better team. And if you beat Notre Dame, you're probably playing really good football. Then you got that game against Tulane. Tulane is a damn good football team. Again, I watched them at UAB put up over 70 points. They should have beat Oklahoma and Norman, and I know that's not saying a lot right now. I just turned around and Boston College is up 20-0. Holy cow. I just looked over to my left, and they're up 20-0 on Louisville. Whew. But, gosh dang it. Dominic, if you know, who was the Navy quarterback 6 years ago that was setting all the records for most touchdowns? I can't remember why is his name slipping me? He should have been in New York, right? He should have been in New York. But if Horvath does beat the Irish, I think you're probably right. I think it's a trip to New York. It's going to be very interesting. Now, what I think will be the game of the day, around the crazy cult that is the Texas A&M Fighting Ags, Giga Whoop, Farmers Fight, LSU at A&M. And here's what's crazy. Think about these two teams. After week 1, A&M loses that game to Notre Dame. Connor Wegman doesn't look good. He's going through some injuries. Garrett Nussmeier and the Tigers, they lose to USC. Now USC only has 3 wins. There's 3-4. But now as they're playing probably 2 of the best in the SEC, the teams that are playing the best, LSU and A&M. Now, LSU was very close to losing that game to Ole Miss. They make plays. I love Whit Weeks. I think what he brings to the table defensively for the Tigers, especially with Harold Perkins being out, I think Whit Weeks has stepped up and accepted that role as defensive leader exceptionally well. Exceptionally well. Now, Connor Wegman, I'm still not 100% sold on. Now, my co-host tomorrow, Taylor Aaron, she's an A&M girl. She's down in Houston. I think she's actually going to this game, she said. And she covers Texas high school football, so I want to get her thoughts on Wegman. Wegman, all the talk about how good he is. I was not sold on him, but what he did against Missouri. Now, again, how good really is Missouri? Everyone wants to call them frauds, but I like Connor Wegman. And that's going to be a night game at Kyle Field. But Nussmeier has played really, really good. right? And I think Kyron Lacey, that's going to be huge for LSU to have him be successful. I don't know. I can't. But I mean, Wegman, 718 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year. It's not great. Everyone seems to think he is this do everything. I don't buy into it. And I may be wrong. Now, Marcel Reed, I like Marcel Reed. I've told people Marcel Reed reminds me of Reggie McNeil when he was at Texas A&M. If you guys remember Reggie McNeil, that's who I really think he reminds me of. But this game at night, I just think LSU is playing so good. Now, the line on this game is very close as well. But I think in this game, I like LSU. I like LSU. Now, I want to ask Taylor tomorrow when I have her on, or when I'm on the game day show with her. She is a former professional. She is a former NFL cheerleader for the Houston Texans. And I want to ask her about how she feels being an A&M fan that they have no female cheerleaders, that it's just the little milkmaids out there doing all their whoop, 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 farmer fight, all that yell practice, cringy cult stuff. I gotta find out what she thinks about that, right? Gonna be a lot of good football games tomorrow. I like A&M. I like LSU in the game. The spread, I think, is 1.5 there. So again, to pick them, it's at 1 now. It could fluctuate again before tomorrow. But Doug Flutie's there at the game. Holy cow, just over and there's old Doug Flutie. I'm probably going to do something towards the end of the football season and go back and look at like most exciting plays of all time. I remember where I was for the Flutie Hail Mary against Miami. I was in my grandfather's living room in Princeton, West Virginia, watching that game. I remember exactly where I was. That's one of those moments that you're like, yep, I was there. I was there. NBA season started. My pick is the Thunder. Y'all may say I'm a homer. That's fine. But I think the Thunder had the chance to be the best team in basketball with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Chance to be the MVP this year. They hammered Denver last night. Heading into the third inning in the World Series, the Fall Classic, the Yankees and the Dodgers tied at 0. Now, here is my always popular.
We're gonna count it down real quick. Top 6 in sports bites mix. What's popping in your town? We're bringing it all around. Give them a sixer, top sixer. You know we're here to fix ya. Best of the best, ain't no mess. Time to impress.
I give them a 6 or 6 picks. Now I am 7-2 this year on my locks. 7-2. So if you're playing with me, you're winning money, baby. That's all I'm saying. You're winning money. I think I'm 8 games ahead. I have to go back and double check. I just put my locks on there. But here's my give them a 6 or 6 picks. I like Navy plus the 13.5. I think they win straight up. Alabama minus 15.5. I think they throttle Missouri. My lock, Cody, if they lose, I apologize. But I'm locking LSU. I'm locking LSU. I think they win straight up. I'm locking them. Kansas State minus 10. I take Kansas State giving up the 10 to Kansas. I don't think they're that good. Texas minus 18. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. It's one of those things too. And it's not that I don't buy Clark Lee. It's not that I don't buy and love watching Diego Pavia. I think after the Georgia game, this is one of those games I think Sark and them are going to, want to make a point, just kind of like Alabama. And it's not because of like, oh, it's just typical Vanderbilt. It's not typical Vanderbilt anymore. It's not. But I like Texas minus the 18. I'm sorry, Chris. Oregon minus the 22.5. I think they throttle Illinois. So that's my right. You can check, you can follow, always keep up to date there. Now, I was talking a little bit about I love horror movies, right? Love horror movies. Now it's time, and I want to hear your opinion. It's time for my top 5 horror movies for me of all time, the ones that I like. Now, don't forget Monday, Reaction Monday. I'm going to go over my top 5 Halloween candies. Like I said, I'm excited about candy coming up. Trick or treat, gonna walk the kid around. He's gonna get dad taxed. Gonna get those dad taxes. It's gonna happen. But I love scary movies. I've been a scary movie fan my whole life. My wife always says you're so weird for that, but I've been a scary movie fan my whole life. Number 5 in this, The Descent. Whew. I don't know if you've seen The Descent, and I'll tell you why it bothered me. Why this one was so scary. It wasn't gore. It was, which I always laugh because I tell people, you think about like Friday the 13th and all that. They were messages to teenagers because who died? The people having sex, the people drinking, doing drugs. They're the ones that died. It was the wholesome person that made it through. So, I understand the premise behind it. Sometimes gore for gore just isn't for me, like the new Terrifier stuff. I'm not into it. But The Descent, that's real fear stuff. The claustrophobia, the spelunking they were doing. Look, I'm a fat guy. I'm not going to go squeezing my big ass through caves and caverns. Nope, it's not going to happen. No. I don't do that. But one of the best jump scares ever was in this movie. When they're down below, they've had the cave-in has happened, right? The cave-in has happened, and next thing you know, they've got the night vision on the camera, and they turn around, bam, there's one of those creatures. And everybody loses their shit. It was like that movie physically affected me. Like my heart rate was up, everything. And again, just it was good, scary. The scene at the end where she comes reaching her hand out, gotta love that. My number 4, The Shining. The Shining, just a classic horror movie. Walking out in the snow like he's freezing. The twins. The lady in the bathtub. I mean, all work and no play. That's right. And it's a great book. Now, it wasn't like Joey and Friends putting The Shining in the freezer. But The Shining is so good. So good. Number 3, I put Nightmare on Elm Street. And the reason why, and again, this goes along the lines of the Friday the 13th. Trying to pass a message. The stoners, the drinkers, the sex-having teenagers, they were the ones that were dying. But the reason I liked Freddy was because Freddy talked shit to you. And I loved it. We all know Michael and Jason stoically walking, always ending up in the right place. But Freddy talked smack to you, and I loved it. I loved it. Even Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince did Nightmare on My Street, and they play with, having the Freddy. Good choice. Thanks, Sunbelt. But I love Nightmare on Elm Street. The thought of your dreams coming to get you, it was great. Loved it. I tell you a movie that had a chance to be really, really good in the horror genre was The Purge. And The Purge was so outside the box. I was very intrigued when The Purge first came out. But when it came out, I was underwhelmed by it. Now, again, there may be people out there that like The Purge, and that's all good and all. But I just think it could have been so much better. My number 2, American Psycho. Patrick Bateman. Christian Bale was amazing in this movie. I loved this movie. everything when he was talking about, Susudio and Huey Lewis in the News, to the obsession of the color of the business cards. Everything about this, I loved it. Loved it. Excellent, excellent horror movie. My number one horror movie of all time. Can anybody in the chat guess? What would be your number one? And horror is a weird genre when you look. And like Jaws, I don't consider Jaws a horror movie. I don't. Was it scary? Sure. I didn't consider it a horror movie. Love Jaws. Watched every single Jaws that's ever been made. Just didn't think it was one of the top horror movies of all time. Friday the 13th. I love Jason. So my top choice, It. No, my top choice is not It. Now, the original I really loved. And even the first It, and I know they're getting ready to do another one, Welcome to Derry. My number one choice of top Halloween movie, horror movie of all time, Halloween. Halloween. You talking about the American Psycho? Best role he ever had? I think, yeah. I think Patrick Bateman. I think Christian Bale was phenomenal as Patrick Bateman. I know horror movies don't get the love Academy-wise, but he was great. But my number one is Halloween. Everything involved to the, they didn't spend a lot of money to make it. You know the story about, the Michael Myers mask, this mask that became iconic, and it was a William Shatner mask that painted white. And I know there's been so many. Now, I will say this. Halloween 1, phenomenal. For a sequel, Halloween 2, amazing. Then you brought out that crap of Halloween 3 with the masks. Oh, God. See, Saw is really good. And I was telling somebody the other day something about Saw. What was interesting about Saw was it was like people who create roller coasters, right? You sick, twisted bastards that create roller coasters trying to freak people out. That's what Saw was. Sick, twisted ways trying to find new ways to make people die. Now, the story got better. I think it got better the longer it went. The first one with Carrie Ewell's fantastic. The whole flip at the end when he got up out of the bat, it was amazing. Loved Saw. Just for me, it's right outside top 5. I mean, there were so many. I was thinking about Phantasm. Loved the Phantasm series. Loved Friday the 13th, but for me, it wasn't in my top 5. These people putting in stupid comments and stuff. It was a bot. Thanks, bot. We're not playing anymore. But I love horror movies, man. I do. I'm probably going to watch the reboots. Yeah, so many. And now, again, Rob Zombie, The House of a Thousand Corpses, and everything that Rob Zombie did. When Rob Zombie did the 2 Halloweens, good, could have been better. Danny Trejo in it, I thought was awesome. But the ones that came out with Halloween, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends, bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back, Laurie Strode, fantastic. Fantastic. I'm probably going to watch that one tonight. And I will say this. This is my movie review moment, right? I watched the brand new, this isn't a horror movie, but I watched the brand new Bad Boys last night. Now, my wife is out of town with the 2 older kids celebrating their birthday, so it's just me at the house. And I was doing some moving, some furniture around, getting everything ready, putting her office up here. She's studying for her master's, trying to be a nurse practitioner. So whatever she needs me to do, I'm going to do, right? So I'm getting her office area set up. I'm moving my stuff around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Bad Boys. I loved Bad Boys. Bad Boys 2, like Martin Lawrence, Will Smith, I thought were great together. The one that just recently came out, it's horrible. With Scream, I thought. It was. It was. It really was. But again, excuse me, with that, I think it goes into the, like Friday, and Halloween had some of it. Again, I thought the storyline was great, right? I thought the storyline was great. I thought what I really liked about Scream was the breaking the fourth wall of, here's how to survive a scary movie and everything happening. Yeah. Drew Barrymore dying in the beginning, Skeet Ulrich, yeah, Matthew Lillard, just awesome. It was a thought. Dewey, David Larroquette out there, Courtney Cox. They were good. They were good. It was a thought. Absolutely right. It was a thought. But the new Bad Boys was horrible. That's an hour and 50 minutes of my life I will never get back. When I'm on my deathbed and I'm taking my final moments, I'm going to think back to that movie and be like, I wasted 2 hours of my life. And they tried too hard, right? They tried way too hard. The best part, if you haven't watched it, Reggie's back. You remember Reggie from part 2? The young man that came to take Marcus's daughter on a date? He's now a Marine. Let's just say he stands on business real quick, right? Stands on business. Looking at the World Series in the 3, 0-0 still. 0-0. NBA scores from across the league. You got Brooklyn. Orlando's beating Brooklyn right now in the third, 76-65. Toronto over Philadelphia in the third, 76-66. The Hawks beating Charlotte right now, 62-58. Cleveland over Detroit in the third, 73-62. The Knicks over the Pacers, 65-45 in the third. Memphis, the Grizz on top of the Houston Rockets in the second, 57-45. Then you've got Chicago and Milwaukee playing right now. Chicago trailing the Bucks, 53-46. Games later tonight, Portland and New Orleans. The Lakers. I got to say this. I got to ask you, if you're still listening, are you buying Bronny James or is it just a joke? And I don't think he's an NBA player. I don't think Bronny James is an NBA player. And my thing is now is LeBron has so much control. He had it all manipulated to where they got to come in, they checked in to get. I don't think he's an NBA player. Now I could be wrong, and he could end up being great. I don't see it. And I think it's unfortunate because with Bronny James now doing what he's doing, he's taking a spot away from somebody, if you ask me. Just saying. He's taking the spot away from somebody right now. I don't think he's an NBA player. I don't think he's built for the long haul. Skill set wise, I don't think he's there. Now I heard my guys, Toby Rowland, Chris Plank, and TJ Perry from out in Oklahoma, they were talking about Bronny James. They said Bronny James, when you looked out there, looked like somebody let their kid on the court. And it was. But it looks like his kid was playing for like a celebrity game or something. He's not that good. Not that good. I do want to show you guys this. Check it out. We got merch coming, baby. We got merch. Sports Bites t-shirts. Now, I'm going to get me one of these aprons so I can start doing my cooking videos again. Nope. You're right. Nope. I don't think he is an NBA player at all. But yeah, we're in the process. I'm working with Presence Apparel. We're doing, trying to get this stuff out. Putting some stuff in line, trying to get it on the website. Once that happens, I'll let everybody know. But this is kind of a look at what we got. We've got the T-shirts, black and white with the logo on it. We got polo shirts, got the long sleeves. You want to take care of a little kid, Sports Bites, start them out young, shaping the minds of America's youth. That's what I do here. Now, I will say the white apron, not going to do it. I'm sloppy when I cook. Hell, I'm sloppy when I eat. The maroon color or the black color is probably what I'll go, but I'm probably going to rock the maroon one when I start doing my cooking videos, my game day cooking videos. I've got to get back to doing another smoked turkey. That was one of my most watched YouTube videos of, I think 2 years or last year, smoking a turkey on Thanksgiving, starting from the brining process overnight to the hours-long process of smoking a turkey. The turkey was so good, my in-law said, "You're bringing the turkey next year. We're going to buy the turkey, right? We're going to buy the turkey. You just smoke it." Cool. Say less. Say less. I've done wings on the smoker. Fantastic. Done the smoked queso. And I'm going to tell you what's good. I'm going to tell you what's good. If you've not tried it, if you got a smoker, smoked okra. Oh, yeah, smoked okra, baby. Little olive oil, garlic, salt, pepper. Put them in one of those disposable trays. Put them on the smoker, letting it go while they don't get slimy, nothing like that. Freaking amazing, right? Amazing. But yeah, keep an eye out. Sports Bites merch is out. We're trying to get everything set up. There might be some more. I'm going to try to get like some hats, maybe a toboggan for the cold weather people. But this is all kind of the process of continuing to grow the brand, right? And again, I appreciate everybody that's taking time out of their busy day to watch. Those who commented and participated, thank you. You're the reason I do it. I have a passion for talking sports. I have a passion just for talking to people. My wife is very kind of introverted, and I'm the extra. I can talk to anybody. It's just how it is. But I thank you guys. And don't forget, I want to get some people set up to see if I can get some call-ins on Podbean, because I'll take some calls. I'll make it just like my old radio show. And like I said, my radio show is very caller-driven. I wanted, you can sit there. And the weird thing I remember about doing radio, I told somebody the other day, is you can sit there and write down notes and have all this stuff, all these little minutia details about games, statistics, trends. And then you say something about, I had a sandwich with Lay's potato chips. And for 3 hours, people want to call and tell you you chose the wrong potato chips. You need to eat these chips. That's one of the best things about it. But again, check it out. Podbean, right? Podbean. Hey, I'm telling you, smoked okra, baby. It's a hit. It's actually a hit. But check out Podbean. Look for Sports Bites Podcast. I want to get some people to call in, right? I want to get people to call in, and we're going to have a good time. Going to have a great time. Guys, that's going to do it for me tonight. Don't forget the Golden Boot Podcast is due up at 8:30. George, Vandy, Chris. Vandy's got a big game this weekend against Texas. Can they shock the world again? Can they take the goalpost to the river again? We'll see. I think Texas wins the game. I think they're a better team, but again, anything can happen. As far as my team, I'm going to tell you real quick. Oklahoma on the road at Oxford, taking on Ole Miss at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Ole Miss's back is against the wall, right? Ole Miss's back is against the wall. One more loss, and you're done. No playoff contention at all. I don't think Trey Harris is going to play, which is a huge loss. They do get a couple offensive linemen back. I know Oklahoma let their offensive coordinator go. Joe John Finley now calling the plays. He was on staff at Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin. I don't know what to expect. I hope it's not like last week. Jackson Dart, you got Jackson Dart versus Jackson Arnold. Can the run game go? I don't know. Can the offense block anybody? I don't know. The spread is Mississippi by 19. I'd probably take Mississippi. It's not been a good year for the Sooners, but I'm still going to be there. I'm going to root them on. I'm going to cheer them on. I hope they do good. I mean, they've got to win either against Ole Miss, Alabama, Missouri, or LSU to go to a bowl game. Backs are against the walls. Everybody, that's going to do it for me tonight. I know I said that earlier. I'm going to get out of here. I got some stuff I got to finish up. I'm going to make room for the Golden Boot podcast. Again, guys, check out College Football Dogs. Check out the Dogs TV network. Like the great people at the Sun Belt Syndicate, right? For those of you that are Group of Five enthusiasts, if you love the Sun Belt, talking about all the teams that are in the Sun Belt, that's where you need to be. Players, coaches, fantastic show, right? The Golden Boot podcast, awesome. You got Raiding the Airways podcast, which is about Kentucky. We've got writers that cover every single team, every single conference. So whatever your interest is in college football, check out the College Football Dogs, guys. Don't forget, you can also become a member of the Maxwell Football Club, the most prestigious football club in the whole country. You can participate in the votes. Go to maxwellfootballclub.com. Check that out. Again, don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, Taylor Aarons, host of the Game Day Show, myself, we're going to talk to a cornucopia of writers and really have a good time talking about this college football weekend coming up. Appreciate you. Hey, I got to live up to what the standards you set, Sunbelt. You do such a good job. But, guys, thank you. Have a great football weekend. Hopefully your team wins, unless you're an Ole Miss fan. I got to say, I hope you don't. Excuse me. Oh, and go Commanders. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play, but I like Marcus Mariota in there going up against Caleb Williams. I got to pull for the Commanders. Go Commanders. It's been weird. It's been 20 years since the switch has happened to where I've been happier with my NFL team than the college team. But so goes it. But, guys, I appreciate everything. Have a great weekend. And as always, the motto of Sports Bites and what I try to live by every day is remember to positively move forward, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through the world of sports and food on Sports Bites. With your host, Chris Joseph. We hope you've enjoyed the game day stories and culinary adventures. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you've got any mouth-watering sports-related tales or favorite game day recipes, share them with us on social media. Until next time, remember, it's not just about the game. It's about the bites that make it unforgettable. Stay hungry for more Sports Bites.